Murtaza Mutahhari begins his preface with a familiar analogy, one that he believes many people may have experienced or can at least visualize. He describes someone who lives on your street or in your neighborhood for years, someone you see at least once a day, and habitually nod to as you pass by. Years pass by in this manner, until one day you accidentally get an opportunity to sit down with him and become familiar with his ideas, views, and feelings, his likes and dislikes. You are amazed at what you have come to know about him. You never imagined or guessed that he might be as you found him, and never thought that he was what you later discovered him to be. After that, every time you see him, his face somehow appears to you to be different. Not only this, your entire attitude towards him is altered. His personality assumes a new meaning and a new depth, and you develop respect for him in your heart, as if he were a person other than the one you thought you knew for years. You feel as if you have discovered a new world. Murtaza states that his experience was similar to such an analogy with regard to Nahjul-Balagha. Since the years of his childhood, he was familiar with the title of this book, and he could distinguish it from other books on the shelves in his father's library. Years later, during his studies, first at the theological school of Mashhad, and later at Qum, when he was finishing the last stages of the preliminary education in theology called Sutuh, during all those days he kept hearing the title Nahjul-Balagha more often than that of any other book after the Quran. Some of its sermons on piety he had heard so many times that he almost remembered them by heart. Nevertheless, he must admit, like all his colleagues at the theological seminary, he was quite ignorant of the world of Nahjul-Balagha. They had met as strangers and passed by each other in the manner of strangers. This went on till the summer of 1325, which corresponds to 1946, when in order to escape the heat of Qum, he went to Isfahan. A trivial incident brought him into contact with a person who took his hand and led him somehow into the world of Nahjul-Balagha. When this happened, he realized that till then he knew little about this book. Later, he wished that he would also find someone who would introduce him to the world of the Quran. Since then, the image of Nahjul-Balagha was transformed in his eyes. He became fond of it, and gradually his fondness grew into love. It was now a different book from the one which he had known till that moment. He felt as if he had discovered an entirely new world. Murtaza recalls that Sheikh Muhammad Abdo, the former mufti of Egypt who edited and published Nahjul-Balagha with a brief commentary, introducing this book to the Egyptians for the first time, says that he had no knowledge of this book till he undertook its study far from home in a distant land. He was struck with amazement and felt as if he had discovered a precious treasure trove. He thereupon immediately decided to publish and introduce it to the Arab public. Murtaza notes that the unfamiliarity of a Sunni scholar with Nahjul-Balagha is not surprising. What is surprising is that Nahjul-Balagha should be a stranger and alien in its own homeland, among the Shi'a of Ali, and that in the Shi'a theological schools as well, in the same way as Ali himself has remained isolated, a stranger in his own land. Evidently, if the content and ideas of a book, or if the feelings and emotions of a person do not harmonize with the mentality of a people, that book or person practically remains isolated like a stranger in an alien world, even though the name of such a person or book may be mentioned with great respect and admiration. Murtaza asserts that theology students must admit their estrangement from Nahjul-Balagha. They have built a mental world of their own which is alien to the world of Nahjul-Balagha. As he writes this preface, he cannot abstain from recalling with sorrow the memory of that great man who introduced him for the first time to the world of Nahjul-Balagha, and whose acquaintance he treasures as one of the most precious experiences of his life, something which he would not exchange for anything else. Not a day nor a night passes without his remembering him or mentioning him with gratitude. He dares say that he was a divine scholar, an alim Rabbani in the true sense of the word, although he dares not claim that he was a learner of the path of deliverance, referencing Sermon 193 of Nahjul-Balagha. He remembers that whenever he met him, he was always reminded of the poetry of the renowned Persian poet Sa'di, which says that the devout, the ascetic, and the Sufi are all toddlers on the path, and if there is any mature man, it is none other than the alim Rabbani. This mentor was a faqih, a philosopher, a man of letters, and a physician, all at the same time. He was well versed in fiqh, jurisprudence, philosophy, Arabic and Persian literature, as well as in the traditional medicine, and he was considered a specialist of the first order in some of these fields. He was a masterly teacher of Al-Qanun, the treatise of Ibn Sina, Avicenna, in medicine, which does not find a teacher these days. Many scholars of the theology school attended his lessons, yet it was not possible for him to confine himself to one single field, and his spirit revolted against any kind of restrictions. Of his lectures, the most that interested him were those on Nahjul-Balagha, which threw him into ecstasy. It seemed as if Nahjul-Balagha had opened its wings, and he, having mounted them, was taken on a journey through strange worlds beyond their reach. It was evident that he lived on Nahjul-Balagha. He lived it and breathed with it. His spirit was united with this book. His pulse throbbed, and his heart beat in harmony with Nahjul-Balagha. Its sentences were always on his lips, and their meanings engraved upon his heart. When he quoted its passages, tears would flow from his eyes, soaking his gray beard.
During the lessons, his encounter with and involvement in Nahjul-Balagha would make him totally oblivious of his surroundings. It was a very educative as well as an attractive spectacle. Listening to the language of the heart from someone whose great heart is full of love and wisdom has altogether a different effect and attraction. He was a living example of the saints of the bygone days. Mutahhari finds that these words of Ali fully applied to this mentor. Had it not been for the fact that Providence had decreed the years of their life, the passionate yearning for divine rewards and fear of chastisement would not have permitted their souls to remain in their bodies even for a moment, and their realization of the greatness of the Creator has made everything besides him insignificant in their eyes. This refined man of letters, the speculative philosopher, the great faqih, the adept man of medicine, and the excellent master of theology was the late Haj Mirza Ali Aka al-Shirazi al-Isfahani, sanctified by Allah, a man of truth and wisdom who had attained deliverance from the finite self and selfhood and had merged with the infinite truth. In spite of his sublime scholarly status and eminent social status, his sense of commitment to the society and burning love for Imam al-Hussein compelled him to deliver sermons from the minbar, the Islamic pulpit. His sermons, since they came from the heart, had a deep effect on the hearts of his listeners.
Whenever he visited Qum, the scholars of the first rank would persuade him to deliver his sermons from the minbar. His sermons were charged with a passionate purity and sincerity that rendered them profoundly effective. They were not just words to be heard, but a spiritual state to experience. He, however, refrained from leading congregational prayers. One year, during the holy month of Ramadan, after a great deal of persuasion, he accepted to lead the prayers at Madrasat al-Sadr for that month. In spite of the fact that he did not come regularly and refused to stick to any regular schedule, unprecedented crowds of people came to attend the prayers led by him. Mutahhari heard that such strength declined in the jama'at in the neighborhood mosques, and he too discontinued. As far as he knows, the people of Isfahan generally knew him in person and liked him. He was also loved at the theology school of Qum. The ulama of Qum would eagerly set out to see him at the news of his arrival in the city. Like all other restrictions, he also refused to be bound by the conditions set for having admirers and followers. Mutahhari prays that Allah may shower His infinite mercy upon him and lodge him in the company of his aliyah on the day of resurrection. Despite all his merits, Mutahhari does not claim that his mentor was familiar with all the worlds which Nahjul-Balagha embraces, or that he had set his foot in all the domains encompassed by it. He had explored only a portion of its realms, and that a portion of Nahjul-Balagha had been incarnated in his personality. The universe of Nahjul-Balagha includes numerous worlds: the world of Zuhd, renunciation of worldly pleasures, and taqwa, piety; the world of ibadah, worship and devotion, and irfan, mystic knowledge; the world of hikmah, wisdom and philosophy; the world of moral preaching and guidance; the world of eschatology and mysteries; the world of politics and social responsibilities; the world of heroism and bravery, and too many worlds to be conquered by any single individual. Haj Mirza Ali Aka al-Shirazi had explored only a portion of this great ocean and knew it well. Mutahhari then turns to the alienation from Nahjul-Balagha and states that it was not confined to him or to others like him. It pervaded through the Islamic society. Those who understood this book, their knowledge did not go beyond the translation of its words and the explanatory notes for its sentences. The spirit and the content of the book were hidden from the eyes of everyone. Only lately, it may be said, has the Islamic world begun to explore Nahjul-Balagha. In other words, Nahjul-Balagha has just started its conquest of the Muslim world. What is surprising is that one part of Nahjul-Balagha, in Shiite Iran as well as in Arab countries, was first discovered either by atheists or non-Muslim theists who revealed the greatness of the book to the Muslims. Of course, the purpose of most or all of them was to utilize Nahjul-Balagha of Ali for justifying and confirming their own social views, but the outcome was exactly the opposite of what they had desired. This is so because for the first time the Muslims have realized that the views expressed grandiloquently by others have nothing new to offer, and that they cannot surpass what is said in Nahjul-Balagha of Ali or translated into action through the conduct of Ali and his disciples such as Salman al-Farisi, Abu Dhar and Ammar. The outcome was that instead of supporting the pretentious views of those who wished to exploit Nahjul-Balagha, Ali and his book defeated their purpose. Nevertheless, it must be accepted that before this had taken place, most of them had little knowledge of Nahjul-Balagha, and it hardly went beyond appreciation of few sermons about the virtues of piety and abstinence. Nobody had yet recognized the significance of the valuable epistle of Master Ali to Malik al-Ashtar al-Nahi, and nobody had paid any attention to it. Mutahhari explains that as stated in the first and second chapters of this book, Nahjul-Balagha is a collection of sermons, precepts, epistles, and aphorisms of Ali compiled by Sayyid al-Sharif al-Radi almost 1,000 years ago. However, neither the recorded words of Master Ali are confined to those collected by Sayyid al-Radi, nor was he the only man to compile the sayings of Amir al-Mu'mineen.
Al-Masudi, who lived 100 years before Sayyid al-Radi, in the second volume of his work, Muruj al-Dahab, writes that at present there are over 480 sermons of Ali in the hands of the people, whereas the total number of sermons included by Sayyid al-Radi in his collection is only 239. There are at present two kinds of work that must be accomplished with respect to Nahjul-Balagha, so that Ali's thought and views on various important issues expressed in Nahjul-Balagha, which are still relevant and are direly needed by the present-day Islamic society, may be brought to light. The second kind of work required in relation to Nahjul-Balagha is researching the sources and the documents relevant to its contents. Fortunately, Mutahhari hears that Muslim scholars in various parts of the Islamic world are devoting themselves to undertaking both of these important tasks. This book is a collection of a series of articles which originally appeared in the journal Makteb-e-Islam during from 1351 to 1352, which corresponds to 1972 to 1973, now presented to the learned readers in the form of the present book. Formerly, he had delivered 5 lectures on this topic at the Husseiniya Irshad. Later, he took up with the idea of writing a series of articles to deal with the subject in greater detail. From the outset, when he chose to call it Sayr dar Nahjul-Balagha, a journey into Nahjul-Balagha, he was aware that his attempt would not deserve to be called more than a journey or a short trip. This work by no means deserves to be called a research. He neither had the time nor the opportunity to conduct a research, nor did he consider himself fit for undertaking such a task. Moreover, a profound and comprehensive research study of the contents of Nahjul-Balagha, an exploration of the ideology of Ali, and besides, a research about documenting its contents, is the job of a group, not of a single individual. But as it is said, that which cannot be attained in its entirety is not to be abandoned entirely. And since humble attempts open the way for great tasks, he embarked upon his journey. Unfortunately, even this journey was not completed. The project that he had prepared for, and which the reader shall find mentioned in the 3rd chapter, remained incomplete because of many preoccupations. He does not know if he will ever get the opportunity to continue his journey through Nahjul-Balagha, but it is his great desire to be able to do so.